The stars twisted and bent as the massive alien ship dropped out of hyperspace. Behind it, 47 more vessels appeared in flashes of blue light. The Veltar conquest fleet had arrived at the edge of the solar system, ready to claim their next prize. Admiral Kethver stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominion's Edge. His tall frame cast a shadow across the control panels as he studied the data streaming in from their sensors. The third planet from the star looked perfect. Blue oceans, white clouds, and green continents showed a world rich with life and resources. "Report," Kethver commanded, his voice echoing in the vast bridge chamber. Commander Yelthic stepped forward, holding a data tablet in his clawed hands. "Long-range scans confirm the intelligence reports, Admiral. Humans have achieved basic orbital flight, but nothing more. We detect primitive satellites around their planet and a small outpost on their moon. No signs of military vessels or defensive networks." Kethver's mouth curved into what passed for a smile among his species. "Excellent. Another easy conquest for the Empire. How long until we reach optimal attack position?" 17 standard days at current speed, Admiral. The fleet will maintain communication silence as per standard invasion protocol. The Admiral nodded and turned back to the main display screen. Earth hung there like a blue jewel, unaware that death was coming for it. This would be conquest number 48 for Kethver. He had perfected the art of planetary invasion over decades of service to the Veltar Empire. The plan was simple, and had worked on every world they had encountered. First, the fleet would approach slowly and silently. Inhabitants never noticed, until it was too late. An orbital bombardment would destroy any military installations in major cities. Finally, ground troops would land to secure resources and round up survivors for the slave markets. "Begin standard approach pattern," Kethver ordered. "All ships maintain stealth protocols. No active scanning beyond passive sensors." The 48 warships of the Conquest Fleet began their journey toward Earth. Each vessel was a kilometer long and armed with weapons that could crack open moons. The Veltar had used this same fleet to crush the crystal cities of Xandar and burn the jungle worlds of the Kretel system. Earth would be no different. In the depths of space, the alien ships moved like silent predators. Their hulls were dark metal that absorbed light and radar. To any primitive sensors, they would appear as nothing more than asteroids drifting through the void. The Veltar had learned long ago that surprise was their greatest weapon. 3 days into their approach, Yelthic brought another report to the Admiral. "Sir, we are detecting more activity around the human world than expected. They're orbital. Traffic seems unusually heavy for such a primitive species." Kethver barely looked up from his tactical displays. Probably just more of their crude satellites. These young species always clutter their orbital space with junk before they learn proper space management. It will make no difference when we begin bombardment. "Yes, Admiral." "Should we adjust our approach vector?" "No, maintain current heading. I want to be in optimal position for the attack. The sooner we finish this conquest, the sooner we can return to civilized space." What neither the Admiral nor his crew knew was that every move they made was being watched. Deep beneath the surface of Earth's moon, in chambers carved from solid rock, hundreds of humans monitored screens filled with data about the approaching fleet. General Patricia Hayes stood in the command center of Luna Base. Her eyes fixed on the tactical display showing the alien ships. "How long have they been on approach?" she asked the technician beside her. 3 days, General. Our deep space sensors picked them up the moment they dropped out of hyperspace. The computer analysis matches the ship designs we captured from the probe 5 years ago. Hayes nodded grimly. 5 years ago, a damaged alien scout ship had crashed in the Pacific Ocean. The technology they recovered from that wreck had changed everything. It proved that Earth was not alone in the universe, and that something was coming. "Signal strength of their communications?" Hayes asked. "Complete radio silence, ma'am. They think they are being sneaky, but our gravity wave detectors track every ship in their formation. We know exactly where they are and where they are going." The general turned to address the room full of officers and technicians. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we have been preparing for. Send the alert to all defense stations. Operation Human Shield is now active. Across the solar system, messages flashed between hidden installations. On Earth, massive doors opened. In mountainsides, to reveal weapon emplacements that had been built in secret over the past 5 years. In the asteroid belt, mining ships that looked innocent began powering up military systems hidden in their hulls. The aliens continued their approach, confident in their stealth and superiority. They had conquered 47 worlds using the same tactics. Their ships were faster, their weapons more powerful, and their technology more advanced than anything the primitive humans could possibly have. Admiral Kethfer reviewed the final attack plans in his private quarters. The orbital bombardment would begin with the destruction of major population centers. New York, London, Beijing, Moscow, all would be reduced to ash within the first hour. Then his troops would land to secure the survivors and strip the planet of anything valuable. Another easy victory, he said to himself as he sealed the orders in an encrypted data chip. Hey, these humans will never know what hit them. But in the cold depths of space, human sensors continued their silent watch. Every alien ship was tracked and targeted. Weapons systems that should not have existed on a primitive world powered up in the darkness. The trap was set, and the hunters had become the hunted. The Veltar fleet continued its approach toward Earth. Unaware that they were flying into the greatest ambush in galactic history, Admiral Kethfer stood on his bridge, watching the blue planet grow larger on the main screen. 3 weeks had passed since they entered this system, and everything was going according to plan. The human world hung before them like ripe fruit. Waiting to be picked? Distance to target? He asked his navigation officer. 2 million kilometers in closing, Admiral. We will reach optimal bombardment range in 6 hours. Kethfer nodded with satisfaction. Soon the orbital bombardment would begin, and another world would fall to the might of the Veltar Empire. He turned to his weapons officer. Begin charging the main guns. I want full power to all weapon systems, yes, Admiral. Ships report weapons coming online. The 48 warships of the Conquest fleet moved in perfect formation toward Earth. Their massive hulls gleamed in the sunlight as they prepared to unleash destruction on the world below. Every gun port was opening. Every missile tube was loading. The attack would be swift and merciless. But something was wrong. The first sign of trouble came from the asteroid belt. Commander Yelthik was monitoring the sensor displays when he noticed unusual readings from what they had marked as mining vessels. Admiral, he called out, his voice tight with concern. The mining ships in the asteroid belt are moving. Their engine signatures are much stronger than they should be for civilian vessels. Kethfer frowned and moved to the sensor station. On the screen, dozens of ships that had appeared to be simple mining craft were now racing toward them at impossible speeds. As he watched, the vessels began to change shape. Panels slid away to reveal hidden weapon batteries. Fake cargo holds open to show missile launchers. Those are not mining ships, Kethfer said slowly. Those are warships. Before anyone could respond, the space around Earth itself began to transform. What had looked like simple space stations and communication satellites suddenly unfolded like deadly flowers. Massive gun barrels extended from hidden compartments. Missile pods deployed from structures that had seemed too small to hold them. Battle stations, Kethfer shouted. Ships, evasive maneuvers. We are under attack. But it was already too late. The humans had planned this ambush perfectly. From every direction, weapons fire erupted toward the alien fleet. Railgun slugs moving at impossible speeds smashed into Veltar ships before they could raise their shields. Missiles with advanced guidance systems swarmed around the alien vessels like angry insects. The Veltar flagship shuddered as a massive projectile struck its starboard side. Sparks flew from control panels as the lights flickered. Kethfer grabbed a support rail to keep from falling as another impact rocked the ship. Shields at 60%, his tactical officer reported. We are taking heavy damage from multiple directions. Return fire. All weapons. Target the nearest human ships. The Veltar fleet began to fight back, their energy weapons lancing out toward the attacking human vessels. But the humans had spent 5 years studying alien technology from the crashed scout ship. They knew exactly where to hit the Veltar ships to cause maximum damage. The human strategy was brilliant in its simplicity. They had turned the entire inner solar system into a trap. Every space station, every satellite, every mining ship had been a disguised weapon platform. The aliens found themselves caught in a crossfire from all sides with nowhere to run. Captain Lisa Chen commanded one of the disguised frigates that had been hiding in the asteroid belt. Her ship, the Terran Hammer, had spent 2 years pretending to be a mining vessel while its crew prepared for this moment. Target the alien command ship, she ordered her weapons officer. Hit their bridge section with everything we have. All railguns. Terran Hammer's main gun spoke with voices of thunder. 3 tungsten slugs, each weighing as much as a car and moving at 10% of light speed, streaked toward the alien flagship. The first slug punched through the ship's shields as if they were made of paper. The second and third shots tore massive holes in the vessel's hull. Admiral Kethfer watched in horror as his fleet was torn apart around him. Ship after ship exploded in brilliant flashes of light. The humans fought with a coordination and skill that should have been impossible. For such a primitive species, how are they doing this? He demanded. Their technology should be centuries behind ours. Commander Yelthic looked up from his damaged console, green blood running down his face from a head wound. Admiral, they are using our own weapons against us. Those missiles, those energy signatures, they are based on Veltar technology. Terrible truth began to dawn on Kethfer. The humans had somehow gained access to their technology. They had used it to prepare for this attack. Everything the Veltar thought they knew about this species was wrong. The battle raged for 6 hours. But the outcome was never in doubt. The human ambush was too well planned, too perfectly executed. One by one, the mighty Veltar warships fell, silent and dark. Some tried to escape, but human pursuit ships hunted them down with ruthless efficiency. When the guns finally stopped firing, the space around Earth was filled with the wreckage of the alien fleet. Broken ships drifted in the solar wind, their hulls cracked open like broken eggs. Of the 48 vessels that had come to conquer Earth, only 3 remained intact enough to be captured. Admiral Kethfer found himself a prisoner aboard his own flagship. Now, under human control, human soldiers in strange armor stood guard. While human technicians worked to save the ship's databases, everything had gone wrong. The conquest fleet was destroyed. The Empire's plans were in ruins. And he was alive only because the humans wanted prisoners to question. A human officer approached him. She was small compared to a Veltar warrior, but her eyes held a hardness that made Kethfer step back. "I am General Hayes of the Earth Defense Forces," she said through a translation device. "You came here to destroy our world. Instead, you have given us the tools to destroy yours." Kethfer stared at her in confusion. "What do you mean?" Hayes smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. "We have been watching your empire for 5 years, ever since one of your scout ships crashed on our planet. We learned about your technology, your tactics, and your plans. But most importantly, we learned where you come from." The alien admiral felt a chill run through his body as the human continued. "You came here expecting to find helpless primitives. Instead, you found a species that refuses to be conquered. Now we know where your bases are, how your ships work, and how to fight your empire. The hunters have become the hunted admiral. And we are very good at hunting." 6 months after the battle, the captured Veltar ships floated in Earth's orbital shipyards like giant metal whales being taken apart by busy workers. Human engineers crawled through every section of the alien vessels, studying each piece of technology with the desperate focus of a species that knew more enemies were coming. Dr. Sarah Martinez wiped sweat from her forehead as she emerged from the engine room of the captured flagship. Her team had been working around the clock to understand the alien faster-than-light drive. The mathematics were incredibly complex, but human scientists were making progress faster than anyone had expected. "Any luck with the hyperspace generator?" asked Colonel James Murphy, the military liaison assigned to oversee the reverse engineering project. "Oh, we cracked it yesterday," Sarah said with exhaustion in her voice. The basic principles are similar to our theoretical models, but their execution is centuries ahead of ours. Give us another month, and we should have a working prototype. Murphy nodded grimly. Make it 3 weeks. Intelligence suggests the Veltar Empire will notice their missing fleet soon. We need to be ready to take the fight to them before they send reinforcements. In the medical bay of Luna Base, Admiral Kethfer sat in a specially designed chair while human interrogators questioned him. The alien had been cooperative once he realized the hopelessness of his situation. His pride was broken, and he seemed almost eager to share information about his former empire. Tell us about the staging areas, demanded Agent Rebecca Foster, the lead interrogator. Where does your empire prepare its conquest fleets? Kethfer looked at the human woman with what might have been respect in his alien eyes. The nearest forward base is at Kepler 44b, 3 systems away from here. They maintain 60 ships there at all times, ready for rapid deployment to new targets. Foster leaned forward in her chair. How long before they expect your fleet to report back? Standard conquest operations take 6 months from start to finish. We have been gone for 4 months. In 2 more months they will expect a status report. When none comes, they will send a scout ship to investigate. Agent Foster exchanged glances with the other humans in the room. 2 months to prepare for the next wave of attackers. It was not much time, but it might be enough. The alien continued speaking, his voice heavy with defeat. But you do not understand the true scope of what you face. The Veltar Empire controls over 300 star systems. We have conquered 47 species. Your victory here means nothing in the face of such power. We'll see about that, Foster replied. She stood up and prepared to leave. Thank you for your cooperation, Admiral. Your information has been very helpful. After the humans left, Kethfer sat alone in his cell, wondering what terrible mistake his people had made in attacking this small blue world. The humans were not like any species the Empire had encountered before. They learned too quickly, adapted too fast, fought with a viciousness that reminded him of ancient predators. Meanwhile, in the secret laboratories beneath the Swiss Alps, human scientists worked frantically to duplicate alien technology. The breakthrough came when Dr. Chen Wei figured out how to reproduce the alien energy shields. The secret was in the quantum field generators that the Veltar used to bend space around their ships. The power requirements are enormous, Chen explained to the gathered military leaders, but we can build them. Our fusion reactors can provide enough energy, and we already have the materials we need. General Hayes studied the technical specifications on her tablet. How long to outfit a fleet? 6 weeks for the first ship, then faster as we perfect the process. We can have 20 vessels ready in 3 months. We don't have 3 months, Hayes replied. Aliens will send scouts in 2 months. Need to hit their base before they realize what happened here. The decision was made in a closed session of the Earth Defense Council. Humanity would build a strike fleet using combined human and alien technology. Their target would be the Veltar staging area at Kepler 44b. The mission was simple in concept, but nearly impossible to execute. Destroy the alien base before it could warn the Empire about Earth's defenses. Admiral Sandra Chen, Lisa's older sister, was chosen to command the mission. She stood in the command center of the newly constructed ship Retribution, watching her crew run final systems checks. The vessel was a hybrid of human and alien technology, armed with railguns, energy weapons, and missile systems that would have been impossible to build just a year ago. All departments report ready, Admiral, her executive officer announced. Very good. Signal the fleet. We launch in 1 hour. The human strike fleet consisted of 12 ships, each one a technological marvel born from captured alien science. The crews were volunteers who understood this might be a one-way mission. If they failed to destroy the alien base completely, Earth would face retaliation from an entire galactic empire, as the ships prepared for their first hyperspace jump. Admiral Chen addressed her crew over the intercom. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to make history. 6 months ago, aliens came to destroy our world. Today, we take the fight to them. Our mission is to buy Earth time to prepare its defenses by eliminating the nearest threat to our home. She paused, looking out at the stars through the bridge windows. The aliens think we are primitive. They think we are weak. Today we show them what happens when you threaten humanity.
How? Ships?
Prepare for hyperspace.
Always.
The fleet vanished into hyperspace, leaving Earth behind as they raced toward their target. In the strange dimension between normal space, the human ships traveled faster than light for the first time in their species' history. They carried with them the hopes and fears of an entire world. At Kepler 4 for 2b. The Veltar base continued its routine operations. Commander Zekthon supervised the loading of supplies onto 3 new conquest fleets. The Empire's expansion continued without pause, just as it had for thousands of years. Soon these ships would depart to claim new worlds for the glory of the Tar. He had no idea that death was coming for him through hyperspace, carried by a species that refused to accept defeat. The predators of Earth were about to show the galaxy what it meant to threaten their home. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace like sharks smelling blood in the water. 12 ships appeared inside the Kepler 442 system, their hulls gleaming with the deadly beauty of hybrid human-alien technology. Admiral Sandra Chen stood on the bridge of the Retribution, watching the tactical display fill with enemy contacts. Target analysis complete, reported Lieutenant Commander Jackson from the sensor station. 63 Veltar vessels at the base, plus orbital defense platforms. And supply depots? It's exactly as the prisoner described. Chen nodded grimly. The alien base spread across 3 moons of the gas giant, Kepler 4-4b. Massive shipyards constructed new vessels, while supply warehouses held enough weapons and equipment to conquer dozens of worlds. It was the perfect target to cripple Veltar operations in this sector. Communications. Any response from the base? Negative, Admiral. They seem to be in complete shock. Our appearance inside their defensive perimeter caught them completely off guard. Chen smiled coldly. The humans had learned much from studying Veltar tactics over the past months. The aliens always approached their targets slowly and cautiously. They never expected an enemy to strike directly at the heart of their operations with such speed and precision. All ships. Execute attack pattern Alpha. Target the command structures first, then the shipyards. We want to cause maximum confusion. Before they can organize a defense. At the Veltar base, Commander Zekthon stared at his displays in disbelief. 12 unknown ships had appeared in the middle of his most secure facility. The vessels were small compared to Veltar warships, but their energy signatures were unlike anything in his databases. Where did they come from? He demanded of his tactical officer. Unknown, Commander? They appeared without warning. Our sensors detected no hyperspace signatures until they were already here. Impossible. No one can jump directly into a defended system without triggering our early warning networks. Before the alien commander could process what was happening, the human attack began. The Retribution opened fire with its main railgun, sending a tungsten slug screaming toward the base's primary command center. The projectile struck with the force of a small nuclear weapon, vaporizing the entire structure in a flash of superheated metal. Across the base, human ships unleashed, carefully coordinated strikes. They had spent weeks studying the layout of Veltar facilities from captured data. Every shot was precisely aimed to cause maximum damage to critical systems. Shipyards exploded in chains of secondary detonations. Supply depots vanished in brilliant fireballs that could be seen from orbit. The Veltar ships at the base tried to respond, but they were caught completely unprepared. Most were docked for maintenance or resupply. Their crews scrambled to reach battle stations. While human missiles and energy beams tore through their hulls like paper, Commander Zekthon watched his command crumble around him as human weapons reduced his base to burning wreckage. "Get me a communication channel to any ship that can still fight," he shouted over the alarms. "Sir, the Executioner and the Dark Conquest are still operational. They're trying to break free of the docking clamps. Tell them to ram the enemy ships. If necessary, we cannot let these attackers escape to report our weakness." But the human fleet had no intention of staying long enough for a prolonged battle. Their mission was to strike hard and fast, then disappear before reinforcements could arrive. As the last of the major installations exploded, Admiral Chen gave the order to withdraw. All ships, prepare for hyperspace jump. Mission accomplished. The human fleet vanished as suddenly as they had appeared, leaving behind only burning wreckage and stunned survivors. The great Veltar base at Kepler 44b had been reduced to scrap metal and debris in less than 4 hours. But the victory came with an unexpected discovery. During the attack, the human ships had captured several intact data cores from the alien command centers. As the fleet raced back toward Earth through hyperspace, intelligence officers worked frantically to decode the information. What they found changed everything. "Admiral, you need to see this," called Lieutenant Sarah Kim from the intelligence station. "The data we captured contains detailed maps of the entire Veltar Empire. Star charts, fleet positions, conquered worlds, everything." Chen moved to look at the displays, her face growing pale as she absorbed the scope of what they faced. The Veltar Empire was vast beyond imagination. Hundreds of star systems stretched across thousands of light years. Millions of ships patrolled space lanes between conquered worlds. "How many species are under their control?" she asked quietly. "At least 57 different civilizations, Admiral. Some conquered recently, others enslaved for centuries. Empire has been expanding for over 2,000 years. But there was more. Hidden in the classified sections of the alien databases was information that made Chen's blood run cold. The Veltar were not the ultimate power in this region of space. They were vassals themselves, serving an even greater empire that controlled thousands of species across multiple galactic arms. "There's something else, Admiral," Kim continued, her voice tight with concern. "We intercepted a transmission from deep in Veltar space. It was sent just before we destroyed their communication array." Chen leaned closer to the screen. "What kind of transmission?" "A distress call. They managed to warn their superiors about our attack before we silenced them. The message was sent to something called the Core Worlds. According to these files, that's where the real power lies." The Admiral felt her stomach drop as she realized the implications. Her successful strike had bought Earth time, but it had also revealed humanity's existence to forces beyond their worst nightmares. The Veltar Empire would respond to this attack with overwhelming force. How long before they can mount a counterattack? She asked. Kim consulted the alien star charts and fleet deployment records. Based on their normal response protocols, 6 months minimum. But Admiral, they won't just send another conquest fleet. According to these files, attacks on Veltar bases are considered acts of rebellion. The standard response is complete extermination of the attacking species. Chen stared at the tactical displays showing the vast network of alien-controlled space. Humanity had won 2 battles, but they had also painted a target on Earth that could be seen across the galaxy. The small blue world that had once been hidden in the cosmic dark was now marked for destruction by powers that commanded fleets numbering in the millions. "Signal Earth," she ordered. "Tell them we succeeded in destroying the base, but we have bigger problems coming. We need to prepare for war on a scale we never imagined." As the human fleet continued its journey home through hyperspace, Admiral Chen wondered if their victories had saved Earth or simply guaranteed its destruction. They had proven that humanity could fight and win against impossible odds. But they had also awakened sleeping giants that had ruled the galaxy for millennia. The hunters had become the hunted, but the real hunt was just beginning. The emergency session of the Earth Defense Council lasted 3 days. Representatives from every nation sat around the massive table in Geneva, studying the intelligence data brought back from the alien base. The holographic display showed the true scope of the Veltar Empire, and beyond it, the even larger core worlds that controlled thousands of species. General Patricia Hayes stood at the head of the table, her face grim as she addressed the assembled leaders. "Ladies and gentlemen, we face a choice that will determine the future of our species. We can retreat to Earth and hope our defenses can withstand what's coming. Or we can do something that no conquered species has ever attempted." President Chen of the Pacific Federation leaned forward. "What are you proposing, General?" Hayes activated a new display showing communication frequencies and broadcast networks captured from the alien databases. We make contact with every enslaved species in the galaxy, share our technology and tactics with them, start a rebellion. The room erupted in arguments. Some leaders called the plan suicide. Others worried about revealing Earth's location. Two potential enemies. But slowly, as the debate continued, a consensus began to form. Humanity had proven that the Veltar could be defeated. If other species learned the same lessons, the entire galaxy could change. Dr. Sarah Martinez, now head of the Alien Technology Research Division, stood to address the council. The communication network we captured gives us access to every species under Veltar control. We can reach billions of enslaved beings across hundreds of worlds, but we need to move fast. Our analysis suggests the Empire will respond to our attacks within 4 months. The vote was close, but the decision was made. Earth would broadcast humanity's knowledge to every enslaved species in the galaxy. They would share their military tactics, their hybrid technology designs, and most importantly, proof that the Veltar could be beaten. 3 weeks later, the most important message in galactic history began transmitting from hidden relay stations throughout human space. The broadcast was simple but powerful. It showed footage of the destruction of the Veltar conquest fleet at Earth, technical specifications for weapons that could penetrate alien shields, and tactical manuals written in dozens of alien languages. The message was clear. The Veltar Empire could be defeated, and humanity was willing to show others how to do it. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within days, alien transmissions flooded the communication networks as enslaved species across the galaxy received the human broadcasts. On worlds that had been under Veltar control for centuries, resistance movements that had never dared to dream of freedom began to organize. The Kretel, whose jungle worlds had been stripped bare by Veltar mining operations, were the first to act. Using modified human tactics and weapons designs, they seized control of 3 orbital defense platforms and turned them against their oppressors. The rebellion spread like wildfire as other species saw that victory was possible. On the crystal cities of Xandar, the native population emerged from underground hideouts carrying weapons built from human blueprints. The Veltar garrison was overwhelmed in a matter of hours. Similar uprisings erupted on dozens of worlds as enslaved species discovered they could fight back effectively. The Veltar Empire, designed to crush individual rebellions on single worlds, found itself facing something it had never encountered: simultaneous revolts across hundreds of star systems. Their military doctrine called for overwhelming force applied to one target at a time. They had no strategy for dealing with galaxy-wide resistance. Admiral Kethfer, still a prisoner on Luna Base, watched the reports with amazement. Agent Foster found him in his cell, staring at a display showing the collapse of his former empire. "Your people really did it," he said quietly. "In 2,000 years of expansion, no species has ever united the galaxy against us. We thought we were unbeatable." Foster sat down across from the alien admiral. "You made one critical mistake. You assumed that because you could defeat us individually, you could defeat us when we worked together. Humans learned long ago that cooperation is more powerful than conquest." The war lasted 18 months. Human advisors and technology spread throughout the galaxy as formerly enslaved species coordinated their attacks. The Veltar tried desperately to maintain control, but their forces were spread too thin across too many fronts. The final blow came when the core worlds themselves came under attack. The vast empire that had controlled multiple galactic arms for millennia discovered that their vassals had turned against them. Species they had ruled for thousands of years rose up using human tactics and hybrid technology. When the fighting finally ended, the galaxy was free for the first time in recorded history. The Veltar Empire was shattered, its fleets destroyed or captured. The core worlds had surrendered after their home systems fell to coordinated attacks by dozens of allied species. Admiral Sandra Chen, now aged and gray from years of war, stood in the Great Assembly Hall on the neutral world of Kepler Prime. Around her, Representatives from over 200 species gathered for the first Galactic Council of Free Worlds. The hall buzzed with dozens of different languages as former enemies worked together to build a new civilization. "It's hard to believe," said General Hayes, who had traveled from Earth for the historic occasion. 5 years ago, we thought we were alone in the universe. Now we're helping to govern a galactic alliance." Chen nodded, watching a group of former Veltar officers working alongside their former slaves to establish trade agreements. The irony is that they came to conquer us and ended up liberating the entire galaxy. If they had left Earth alone, none of this would have happened. A young aide approached with the latest reports from the outer systems. "Admiral, the last of the core. World resistance has surrendered. The transition to democratic government is proceeding smoothly on all formerly controlled worlds." Chen smiled as she looked around the assembly hall. Beings that had been mortal enemies just months ago now debated policy and shared technology freely. The galaxy that had been ruled by fear and conquest for millennia was learning to govern itself through cooperation and mutual respect. What's next for humanity? Hayes asked. Chen considered the question as she watched. A Credal engineer explained atmospheric processing techniques to a group of former Veltar scientists. "We keep doing what we've always done best. We adapt, we learn, and we help others do the same. The galaxy is big enough for all of us to thrive together." As the first session of the Galactic Council began, representatives from across the galaxy stood together to swear an oath that no species would ever again be enslaved or conquered. The age of galactic empires was over. The age of cooperation had begun. And it had all started because a small blue world refused to accept defeat.
The stars shone like tiny diamonds against the black void of space as the Galactic Alliance patrol vessel, Serene Harmony, glided through the emptiness. Captain Trill sat in his command chair, his four thin arms resting lightly on the control panels. His skin, pale blue and slightly translucent, reflected the soft glow of the ship's lights. "Captain, we're picking up something strange," said Officer Mick, his large eyes blinking rapidly as he studied his screen. Trill turned his elongated head toward the communication station. "What kind of strange, Officer Mick?" "A distress signal, sir. But it's using an old code, not like any current Alliance protocols." The bridge grew quiet. Finding a distress signal in this uncharted sector was unusual. This region of space wasn't known for much traffic, being far from the established trade routes and settled worlds. "Put it on the main screen," Trill ordered, his voice calm despite the tension building in the air. The large display at the front of the bridge flickered to life, showing a pulsing signal pattern that repeated every few seconds. The ship's computer tried to translate the code but could only determine it was a standard emergency beacon. "Origin?" Trill asked. First Officer Glip approached, the water in his transparent exoskeleton sloshing gently with each step. "Unknown, Captain. But it's coming from Sector 7B, just beyond the Crimson Nebula." Trill thought for a moment. The Alliance had clear rules about distress calls. Any ship that could help must do so, regardless of who was asking. It was one of the founding principles that kept peace among the many different species that made up the Galactic Alliance. "Set course for the signal origin. Maximum safe speed," he ordered. The Serene Harmony changed direction, its engines humming louder as it accelerated. The crew prepared for a rescue mission, though none knew what they might find. "Should we alert Alliance Command?" asked Glip, his voice bubbling slightly through the speaking membrane near what passed for his mouth. "Not yet," Trill replied. "Let's see what we're dealing with first. Could be nothing more than a lost trader or a damaged probe." 3 hours later, the Serene Harmony slowed as it approached the source of the distress call. What they found made even the veteran crew members stare in shock. A ship unlike any they had seen before floated in space. It was angular, with sharp lines and dark metal plating. Parts of it were torn open, revealing the inner workings and compartments. Debris surrounded it like a cloud of metallic dust. Life signs? Trill asked, leaning forward in his chair. Medical. Officer Pix ran her tendrils over her scanning equipment. Yes, Captain. 6 life forms. But their readings are strange, not matching any known species in our database. This was unexpected. The Alliance had cataloged nearly every spacefaring race in this part of the galaxy. To find an unknown species, especially this far from any habitable worlds, was remarkable. Is the ship a threat? Security Chief Vex rumbled, his rocky skin grinding slightly as he shifted his massive form. As a stone shell, he was naturally cautious. His species evolved from creatures that had survived by assuming everything was dangerous until proven otherwise. It appears heavily damaged, replied Officer Kell, who manned the sensors. Multiple hull breaches. Their power systems are fluctuating. Whatever happened, they were lucky to survive. Captain Trill made a decision. Send out a standard greeting. On all frequencies. Let them know we're here to help. Minutes passed with no response. Perhaps their communications were damaged in whatever incident caused this, suggested Glip, his fluid body rippling with concern. Or perhaps they don't understand our languages, added Pix. Trill nodded. Move us closer within docking range. Prepare a boarding party. Standard rescue protocols. As the Serene Harmony drew nearer to the damaged vessel, they could see more details. The ship had markings on its hull. Symbols they couldn't read but were clearly not random damage patterns. What looked like weapon systems were mounted at various points, though most were now twisted or broken. Captain, I'm detecting something odd about their life support, reported Kell. According to these readings, the atmosphere inside would be toxic to most Alliance species. High oxygen content, nitrogen, and trace gases that would cause respiratory failure in minutes for beings like us. And yet they live in it, murmured Trill, his 4 hands tapping thoughtfully on his armrests. Fascinating. Suddenly, one of the screens flickered. The damaged ship was transmitting something, not just the repeating distress call, but an actual message. The computer struggled to make sense of it, the unknown language proving difficult to translate. After several attempts, broken words appeared on the screen. This Earth vessel, relentless, crew, critical, assistance. Earth? Repeated, Glip, the water in his head bubble swirling in confusion. I've never heard of such a place. Nor have I, said Trill. But they need help, and that's what we'll give them. The boarding party assembled quickly. Security Chief Vex, Medical Officer Pix, and 2 technical specialists named Zinn and Lork. All wore environmental suits designed to protect them from harmful atmospheres. Remember, Captain Trill told them before they left, we know nothing about this species. They may look strange to us, and we certainly will to them. Move slowly, make no threatening gestures, and focus on medical aid first. The team entered the airlock, which cycled through its decontamination sequence before connecting to the damaged ship's emergency docking port. Surprisingly, despite the extensive damage, the docking mechanisms were compatible enough to create a sealed pathway. Atmosphere reading is even more extreme than we thought, reported Pix as they prepared to enter. Temperature is much higher than our comfort levels in the air. It's filled with particles that would destroy our lungs. Whatever these beings are, they live in conditions that would kill most of us within minutes without protection. Vex checked his suit seals one last time. Stay behind me. If anything seems threatening, we retreat immediately. The airlock hissed, open, revealing a dimly lit corridor. Emergency lighting cast red shadows along the walls, making the unfamiliar design seem even more alien. The team moved forward cautiously, their suit lights cutting through the gloom. They passed rooms with strange equipment, some still sparking with damaged electrical systems. The walls showed signs of intense heat and what looked like explosive damage. They were attacked, said Vex, pointing to marks that could only have been made by weapons fire. This way, called Pix, her scanners indicating life signs ahead. They're in what must be their control center. The door to the bridge was partially open, jammed by damage. Vex had to use his considerable strength to push it wide enough for them to enter. What they saw inside made them all stop in shock. 3 beings sat or lay slumped at control stations. They had no exoskeletons, scales, or protective shells. Their bodies were covered in a thin, soft-looking outer layer in various shades of brown and pink. Red fluid, clearly some kind of biological material, stained this covering in several places. One of the creatures turned toward them. It had a flat face with two forward-facing eyes that widened upon seeing the boarding party. It said something, the sounds harsh and quick. The translation matrix in their suits processed for a moment, then produced, "About time someone showed up, ship's not going to hold together much longer." And with those words, the Alliance crew knew that their galaxy had just become a much more interesting place. They had made first contact with humans. Security Chief Vex moved his massive stone-like body forward, positioning himself between his crew members and the strange beings. The human who had spoken tried to stand but fell back into the chair with a grunt. "Easy now," Medical Officer Pick said, moving past Vex despite his protective stance. Her translation device converted her words into sounds the unknown species might understand. "We're here to help." The human looked at them with those strange, water-filled eyes. Its face changed shape, pulling back to reveal white, hard structures in its mouth. The Alliance crew tensed, but their scanners didn't detect any spike in aggression. "Help would be good," the human said. "3 of us here, 2 more in the engine room. They're in worse shape." Pix approached with her medical scanner, moving it over the human who was speaking. The readings made her tendrils curl in surprise. "Your body temperature is extremely high," she said. "And your internal structure. You have a hard frame inside a soft exterior." She had never seen such a bizarre design in a spacefaring species. "Yeah, that's called bones and skin," the human replied. "Standard issue for Earth folks. Name's Jack. I'm the captain of this wreck." Captain. At least that concept translated across species barriers. Pix continued her scan while Vex and the technicians checked the other humans in the room. "You're injured," Pix said, noting several tears in the outer covering and the red fluid leaking from them. "This red substance, is it vital to your function?" Jack made a strange sound, something like air being pushed forcefully through his breathing apparatus. "That's blood. And yes, I'd prefer to keep most of it inside me. But help the others first. Tom over there took a bad hit to the head. Anna hasn't woken up in hours." Pix moved to the other humans while Technician Zin examined the ship's control panels. "Remarkable," Zin said. "Their technology is different from ours, but I can make sense of some of it. This vessel has taken massive damage. Life support is barely functioning. Power reserves at 12%. The human captain nodded. "We've been running on emergency systems since the attack. Managed to take out 3 of their ships before our main drives failed." Vex's rocky brow shifted, the equivalent of a raised eyebrow in his species. "You destroyed 3 attack vessels? In this ship?" "Like I said, it's a wreck now. Wasn't before we met those pirates." Jack pointed to a screen showing debris floating nearby. "That used to be one of theirs." The boarding party exchanged glances through their helmet visors. If this damaged vessel had indeed destroyed 3 enemy ships before succumbing to damage, these humans were either exceptional warriors or had technology more advanced than it appeared. "We need to move quickly," Pix announced. "These humans cannot survive much longer in these conditions. Their bodies require specific atmospheric compositions and temperatures." "Can you walk?" Vex asked the captain. Jack pushed himself up, swaying. "Slightly. Been better, been worse. Let's get my crew out first." "Zin, Lork, go to their engine room and find the other humans," Vex ordered. "I'll help these 3. As the technicians hurried off, Pix prepared emergency stabilization fields for the unconscious humans. These would maintain their current status until they could receive proper treatment aboard the Serene Harmony. "Your ship," Jack said, limping toward what looked like a storage compartment. "Can it tow the Relentless? There's data in our core we need to preserve." "We can establish a tractor field," Vex replied, "but your vessel is severely damaged. It may not survive the stress." Jack reached the compartment and pressed his hand against a panel. It opened to reveal a small, glowing cube. "Then we take this. It's our mission data and black box. Everything else can burn. The way he said it made clear that the data was more important than the ship itself. Vex nodded and helped secure the cube while Pix finished preparing the injured humans for transport. A call came through from the technicians. "We've found the other 2 humans. One is mobile, one is unconscious but stable. Bringing them up now." 10 minutes later, the entire human crew was being moved through the docking tunnel to the Serene Harmony. Captain Trill waited anxiously as the boarding party returned with 5 beings unlike any he had seen before. "Welcome aboard," Trill said as Jack was the last to step through. "I am Captain Trill of the Galactic Alliance." Jack straightened his body as much as his injuries allowed, a gesture that seemed to have formal significance. "Captain Jack Miller, of the Earth exploration vessel Relentless. On behalf of my crew, I thank you for responding to our distress call." Trill was impressed by the formality despite the human's obvious pain. "Our medical team has prepared a specialized area based on the readings from your ship. We'll do our best to accommodate your unique requirements." Jack nodded, then suddenly his legs gave way. Vex caught him before he hit the floor. "Your captain needs immediate attention," Vex said to the human who had introduced himself as Greg, the only other conscious member of their crew. Greg nodded. "He's been keeping himself going on stims and stubbornness for the last 30 hours. Typical Jack." As they moved the humans to the medical bay, the Alliance crew couldn't help but stare. These beings were so different from any species they knew. No natural armor, no enhanced sensory organs they could detect, bodies that seemed fragile and exposed. In the medical bay, Dr. Lin had created a separate chamber with atmosphere and temperature adjusted to match the readings from the human ship. The humans were placed on examination beds, their vital signs monitored by specially calibrated equipment. "Fascinating," Dr. Lin said, examining the readings. "Their bodies contain metals. Iron, in particular, bonds with oxygen in their blood. That's why it's red." Greg, who was the least injured, sat on one of the beds while Lin treated a burn on his arm. "You folks never seen humans before, huh?" "We have no record of your species in our database," Lin admitted. "Where is Earth located?" "Pretty far from here. We're on a deep space mapping mission. First time anyone from Earth has been in this sector." "And yet you encountered Vrexian pirates," Captain Trill said, entering the medical bay. "They are notorious in this region. Most ships avoid their hunting grounds." Greg's face did something strange. It pulled back to show teeth, but in a way that seemed friendly rather than threatening. "We weren't exactly avoiding trouble, Captain. Part of our mission is to chart hazards as well as resources." Trill's forearms moved in a gesture of surprise. "You deliberately entered dangerous space with a single vessel?" "That's what we do," Greg said simply. "Explore, learn, when necessary, fight." Dr. Lin interrupted with another discovery. "Captain, these humans are healing at an observable rate. The minor wounds are already closing." Trill moved closer to observe. Indeed, the small cuts on Greg's exposed skin were visibly different than they had been just minutes ago. "Is this normal for your species?" Trill asked. Greg nodded. "Basic human biology. We patch ourselves up pretty good. Nothing special about it." But to the Alliance crew, it was special. Most species they knew required medical technology to heal wounds, especially in space where natural healing was hampered by artificial environments. Alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. Trill moved to a communication panel on the wall. "Bridge, report. Captain, we're detecting multiple ships entering the sector. Configuration matches the debris found near the human vessel. Vrexian pirates, sir. It appears they've tracked down their prey." Trill looked at Greg, who was already standing despite the doctor's protests. "Wake up, Jack," Greg said, his voice now hard and focused. "Those pirates are about to learn why humans are the apex predators where we come from." The Alliance crew exchanged worried glances. They were a patrol vessel, not a warship. And now they were caught between injured humans and a vengeful pirate fleet. The real test of first contact was just beginning. Captain Trill rushed back to the bridge, his forearms working quickly over control panels as he settled into his command chair. The main screen showed 9 Vrexian vessels approaching in attack formation. "Shields at maximum," he ordered. Prepare evasive maneuvers. First Officer Glip moved to his station, the fluid in his transparent body churning with anxiety. Captain, we're outmatched. The Serene Harmony isn't built for combat against multiple pirate vessels. Trill knew this was true. His ship was a patrol and rescue vessel with minimal weapons. Against 9 Vrexian ships, they stood little chance. The door to the bridge slid open, and to everyone's surprise, Captain Jack entered, supported by Greg. Despite Dr. Lin's protests following behind them, the 2 humans had left the medical bay. You shouldn't be moving, Lin said, his medical tendrils waving in frustration. Your injuries require rest and treatment. Jack ignored him, focusing on the tactical display. 9 ships. That's the rest of their fleet. We took out 3 before. Our systems failed. Trill turned to face the humans. You should return to medical. We will handle this situation. With respect, Captain, Jack said, his voice stronger than before. You're about to be attacked by ships that specialize in boarding and capturing vessels. If they get aboard, your crew will be sold as slaves in uncharted regions. The bridge grew quiet at this blunt assessment. What do you suggest? Trill finally asked. Your ship is disabled, and ours is not designed for combat. Greg moved to the communication station. We need to use your transmitter. Our backup plan might still work. Trill hesitated only briefly before nodding. Officer Mick, assist them. Greg worked with Mick to adjust the communications array. Meanwhile, Jack studied the tactical display with Security Chief Vex, who had followed the humans to the bridge. Their attack pattern is standard, Jack noted. They'll try to disable your engines first, then your weapons, then force a boarding at multiple points. Vex's rocky features shifted in surprise. You know their tactics well for someone who just encountered them. Jack's mouth formed that strange expression the Alliance crew was learning meant something positive. We study predatory behavior. It's similar across species. These pirates are just space predators. Transmission ready, Greg announced, broadcasting on encrypted Earth frequencies. What exactly are you sending? Trill asked. A message, Jack said simply. And coordinates. If we're lucky, someone will hear it. The Vrexian ships continued their approach. The lead vessel transmitted a message in the common trade language used throughout the sector. Alliance vessel. Surrender the Earth ship and its crew. They have destroyed Alliance property and must face justice. That's a lie, Vex growled. They're no Alliance members. Jack nodded. Pirates often pose as authorities, makes their victims hesitate. Trill opened a channel. Vrexian vessels. This is Captain Trill of the Galactic Alliance. Your claim is false. Withdraw from this sector immediately. The only response was the pirates' increasing speed toward the Serene Harmony. They'll be in weapons range in 2 minutes, Officer Kell reported from the sensor station. Jack turned to Trill. Captain, do you trust me? The Alliance captain studied the human. Despite being injured and in an unfamiliar environment, Jack showed no fear, only focus and determination. What do you need? Trill asked. I need control of your ship's maneuvering systems. Greg needs access to your communications array to continue broadcasting. And we need to move close to the wreck of the Relentless. Trill considered for only a moment. Granted. Officer Kell, transfer flight control to the auxiliary station. Jack moved to the indicated control panel, his fingers dancing over the unfamiliar interface with surprising speed. The Serene Harmony suddenly accelerated, changing course toward the drifting wreck of the human vessel. What are you doing? Glip asked, his watery body rippling with alarm. Creating confusion, Jack replied without looking up. The pirates think. We're trying to recover something from our ship. The Vrexian fleet adjusted course, splitting into 2 groups. 5 ships pursued the Serene Harmony, while 4 moved to cut off access to the Relentless. They took the bait, Greg said, still working at the communications station. Signal is being boosted through the Relentless's remaining transmitter array. The first shots from the pirate vessels flashed past the Serene Harmony as Jack executed a series of evasive maneuvers that seemed impossible for a ship of this size. The Alliance crew held onto their stations as the inertial dampeners struggled to compensate. Where did you learn to fly like this? Trill asked, impressed despite the danger. Earth has high gravity and dense atmosphere, Jack explained, hands moving constantly over the controls. Space is actually easier to navigate than our home skies. The pirates continued firing, several hits rocking the Serene Harmony. Damage reports flooded in from all decks. Shields at 63%, Kell reported. We cannot sustain this assault for long. Jack nodded to Greg. Any response? Greg checked his console. Nothing yet, but the signal is strong. The Serene Harmony shuddered as another volley hit its shields. Jack executed a tight turn around the floating wreck of the Relentless, using it as partial cover. Wait, Kell suddenly said, staring at his sensor readings. I'm detecting a new energy signature at the edge of the system. It's massive. Everyone turned to the main screen as the sensors focused on the newcomer. A ship appeared, sleek and deadly looking, moving at incredible speed toward their position. That, Jack said with evident satisfaction, is the Thunderstrike, Earth's newest warship. The Alliance crew stared in stunned silence as the human vessel approached. It was nearly twice the size of the Serene Harmony, and bristling with what were obviously weapon systems. You had a warship nearby all this time? Trill asked, his voice a mixture of relief and confusion. Jack nodded. The Relentless was mapping this sector. The Thunderstrike was hanging back, out of sensor range, standard procedure when exploring potentially hostile regions. You used your ship as bait, Vex realized, his rocky features showing newfound respect. Exploration is dangerous, Greg said simply. We prepare accordingly. On screen, the approaching Earth vessel accelerated even further. The Rexian pirates, noticing the newcomer, began to regroup. They're forming a defensive formation, Kell observed. All 9 ships coordinating against the human vessel. Jack and Greg exchanged looks. They have no idea what they're facing, Greg said quietly. The Thunderstrike opened fire. The Alliance crew watched in amazement as precision beams of energy struck the lead Vrexian vessel, cutting through its shields as if they weren't there. The pirate ship exploded in a brilliant flash. One shot, Vex murmured in disbelief. The remaining pirates attempted to scatter, but the Thunderstrike moved with impossible agility for a vessel its size. 2 more pirate ships erupted into flames before the others could even change course. The Thunderstrike is hailing us, Mick announced from the communication station. Trill nodded and the screen changed to show the bridge of the human warship. A woman with dark skin and short hair sat in the command chair, her uniform similar to Jack's but with additional markings. Captain Miller, she said, addressing Jack. Your distress call mentioned you found new friends. Jack straightened, despite his injuries. Captain Laura, meet Captain Trill of the Galactic Alliance. They rescued us after our encounter with the pirates. The woman nodded respectfully to Trill. Captain, on behalf of Earth, thank you for assisting our people. We'll clean up this pirate problem for you. Trill found himself speechless. The casual way she spoke of eliminating 9, now 6, deadly pirate vessels was astonishing. We are grateful for your assistance, he finally managed to say. On the tactical display, the remaining Vrexian ships were attempting to flee. The Thunderstrike pursued with methodical precision, disabling engines and weapon systems without completely destroying the vessels. We'll leave some for your authorities to question, Captain Laura explained. They might have useful intelligence about other pirate activities in this sector. As the Alliance crew watched the human warship effortlessly capture the remaining pirates, a new understanding dawned on them. These humans, these Deathworlders from a high-gravity planet with their strange internal skeletons and remarkable healing abilities, were not just survivors, they were warriors, and they had just become the most interesting new species the Alliance had ever encountered. 2 days after the battle with the pirates, the Serene Harmony and the Earth warship Thunderstrike traveled together toward the nearest Alliance outpost. The human crew from the damaged Relentless had been moved to the Thunderstrike's advanced medical facilities except for Captain Jack, who chose to remain aboard the Alliance vessel as a liaison. Captain Trill called a meeting with his senior officers and their human guest. They gathered in the ship's conference room, where a table had been modified to accommodate Jack's different body structure. The Alliance High Command is very interested in making formal contact with your people, Trill began, his forearms making a gesture of openness. This is the most significant first contact we've had in over 50 cycles. Jack nodded, looking much healthier after receiving proper medical treatment. Earth will be interested too. We've been searching for intelligent life beyond our solar system for generations. First Officer Glip's fluid body rippled with curiosity. You've never encountered other sentient species before us? We've found simple life forms on other planets, but nothing that built ships or created technology, Jack explained. You're our first. The Alliance officers exchanged looks of surprise. In their experience, most spacefaring races had encountered at least a few other species before joining the wider galactic community. Tell us about Earth, Security Chief Vex requested. Our sensors indicate your physiology is adapted to conditions most Alliance species would find extremely hostile. Jack smiled. Earth is what you might call a heavy world. High gravity, dense atmosphere, large temperature variations from equator to poles. We have oceans covering most of the planet, active tectonics causing earthquakes and volcanoes, and weather systems that include hurricanes, tornadoes, and blizzards. Medical Officer Pix's tendrils curled in alarm. And your people evolved in these conditions naturally? Completely naturally, Jack confirmed. It made us tough. We can survive injuries that would kill other species. We can adapt to a wide range of environments, and we've developed technology designed to withstand extreme conditions. That explains your ships, Vex noted. The Relentless remained partially functional despite damage that would have destroyed any Alliance vessel. And the Thunderstrike. His rocky features shifted in what the others recognized as awe. I've never seen weapons like that. Jack's expression grew more serious. We developed in a competitive environment. Earth has thousands of predator species. Humans had to become smarter and more inventive than all of them to survive. When we started exploring space, we brought that same mindset with us. Captain Trill leaned forward. This could be concerning to some Alliance members. Many of our species evolved in more cooperative environments. I understand, Jack said. But I hope you've seen that we use our strength to protect, not just to conquer. We could have left you to face those pirates alone after you rescued us. Instead, we helped defend your ship. True, Trill acknowledged. Your actions speak well of your people. The ship's communication system chimed. Captain, we're receiving a priority message from Alliance High Command, Officer Mick reported from the bridge. Put it through to the conference room, Trill ordered. The large screen on the wall activated, showing an elderly Floraxian with elaborate ceremonial petals framing their face. This was High Commander Zell, one of the most senior officials in the Alliance. Captain Trill, the commander began, your preliminary report has caused quite a stir. The Council wishes to meet these humans immediately. Trill bowed respectfully. We are en route to Outpost 7, High Commander. From there we can... No, Zell interrupted. This is too important. A diplomatic vessel has been dispatched to intercept you. It will arrive within hours. The human representatives will be brought directly to Alliance Central. Jack raised his eyebrows but said nothing. This was clearly not standard procedure. After the communication ended, Trill turned to Jack. I apologize for the abruptness. The Council rarely acts with such haste. No offense taken, Jack replied. But I should consult with Captain Laura. This changes our plans. Minutes later, in a private communication with the Thunderstrike, Jack explained the situation to Captain Laura. Her image on the small screen looked concerned. The Alliance seems eager to establish formal relations, Jack noted. Laura nodded. Too eager, perhaps. We don't know enough about them yet. Their technology is impressive in some ways, but their weapons and defenses are far behind ours. That creates an imbalance that could be problematic. What are you thinking? Jack asked. I'm thinking we proceed with caution, Laura replied. Accept their invitation but limit what we share. And Jack? She paused. Don't tell them about the Sol Defense Fleet. Let them think the Thunderstrike is one of our most powerful ships, not just a mid-range patrol vessel. Jack's eyes widened slightly. You think they might see us as a threat? I think any species would be concerned about meeting a more advanced civilization with superior military capability, Laura said pragmatically. Let's ease them into it. After ending the communication, Jack rejoined the Alliance officers. Captain Laura agrees to meet with your diplomatic vessel. She suggests we transfer the data core from the Relentless to Alliance Central as a gesture of goodwill. Trill seemed pleased. Excellent. The diplomatic vessel should arrive within 6 hours. The next day, Jack stood in the docking bay of a massive Alliance diplomatic ship called the Celestial Envoy. It dwarfed both the Serene Harmony and even the Thunderstrike. Ornate and beautiful, it was clearly designed to impress rather than fight. Captain Laura had joined him along with her first officer, a tall human named Ben. They were meeting with Alliance diplomat Mira, a graceful being with gossamer wings and iridescent skin. On behalf of the Alliance Council, I welcome you, Mira said, her voice musical and soothing. Your discovery is a historic moment for all spacefaring civilizations. We're honored by your welcome, Laura replied diplomatically. Earth looks forward to establishing peaceful relations with the Alliance. As they walked through the grand corridors of the diplomatic vessel, Jack noticed the curious glances from the diverse Alliance crew members. News of the humans had clearly spread quickly. Diplomat Mira led them to a luxurious conference room. The Council has many questions about Earth and humanity, she said. They are particularly interested in your technology and how you defeated the Vrexian pirates so easily. Laura smiled politely. We're happy to share information about our exploration mission and general capabilities. Some technical details, however, remain classified until formal relations are established. Mira's wings fluttered slightly, a sign of disappointment, Jack guessed. Of course, security concerns are understandable. We have questions as well, Ben added, about the Alliance structure, member species, territories, and policies. All reasonable inquiries, Mira agreed. We have prepared extensive information packages for you. As they settled into the meeting, Jack couldn't help but notice the subtle tension. The Alliance representatives were unfailingly polite, but clearly eager to learn about human technology, particularly their weapons. Meanwhile, Laura skillfully deflected these questions while gathering as much intelligence as possible about the Alliance. It was a diplomatic dance, and humans were proving to be skilled dancers. Later, in their private quarters aboard the diplomatic vessel, Jack, Laura, and Ben discussed what they had learned. The Alliance spans over 40 star systems, Ben reported. 47 member species, most from what they call moderate worlds. They've never encountered a species from a high-gravity planet with our level of technology. They're peaceful, Jack noted. That's good, but they're also vulnerable. Those pirates were a serious threat to them. Laura nodded thoughtfully. I think I understand why they're so interested in us. They need protectors. And they see humans as potential defenders against threats they can't handle themselves, Jack concluded. The three humans considered this realization in silence. Humanity had just stepped onto a much larger stage than they had anticipated when the Relentless began its survey mission. The decisions they made in the coming days would shape Earth's place in the galaxy for generations to come. 3 weeks after their first encounter with the Alliance, the human delegation stood in the Grand Council chamber at Alliance Central. The massive space was designed to accommodate beings of all shapes and sizes, with special seating areas for aquatic species and low-gravity dwellers. Captain Laura, now wearing a formal Earth diplomatic uniform, led the human delegation. Captain Jack and First Officer Ben stood beside her, along with 2 new arrivals from Earth. Ambassador Wilson, a seasoned diplomat, and Dr. Maya, Earth's leading xenobiologist. The council chamber hummed with excited conversation as representatives from all 47 Alliance species gathered to witness this historic moment. Many had traveled for days just to see these strange new beings called humans. High Commander Zell called for silence, his petals fully extended in formal display. Today marks a momentous occasion in Alliance history, he announced. For the first time in over 200 cycles, we welcome a completely new civilization to our galactic community. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of sounds that served as applause among the various species. Captain Trill and his crew from the Serene Harmony sat in a place of honor, recognized for their role in making first contact. Ambassador Wilson stepped forward to address the council. Unlike the military personnel, he was older, with gray hair and lines on his face that showed his age. This surprised many Alliance members, as most species kept their representatives youthful through medical technology. Esteemed council members and representatives, Wilson began, his voice calm and measured. On behalf of Earth and all humanity, I bring greetings of peace and friendship. Our encounter with your alliance was unexpected but fortunate. We have much to learn from each other. High Commander Zell gestured with his upper arms. We have reviewed the reports from Captain Trill and the data from the Vrexian incident. The Council is most impressed by human capabilities. Your technology, particularly your defensive and propulsion systems, appears quite advanced. Wilson smiled diplomatically. Earth has focused considerable resources on space exploration and security. Our history taught us to be prepared for any situation. This preparedness served you well against the pirates, noted Council Member Drell, a massive being with a crystalline exoskeleton. We have struggled with Vrexian raids for many cycles. Your single vessel eliminated threats that would require an entire Alliance defense fleet. Ambassador Wilson nodded respectfully, but did not elaborate further on human military capabilities. Instead, he changed the subject. We're more interested in cultural and scientific exchange. Dr. Maya is eager to learn about the biology of Alliance species, and we've brought databases on Earth agriculture, medicine, and sustainable energy. That may benefit Alliance worlds. The Council seemed pleased by this offer. Several members leaned forward with interest when Wilson mentioned Earth's advanced medical techniques, which had been developed to treat the many injuries humans suffered on their dangerous homeworld. Council Member Liss, a small Fury being with large eyes, raised a question. What does Earth seek from this alliance? Most new members require protection, technology, or resources. Captain Laura stepped forward to answer. Earth is self-sufficient in resources. We have developed our technology independently, and as you've seen, we can protect ourselves. She paused. What we seek is knowledge, new perspectives, friends among the stars. For thousands of years, humans wondered if we were alone in the universe. Now we know we are not, and we wish to be good neighbors. The simplicity and sincerity of this statement seemed to resonate with the Council. Many representatives nodded or made their species equivalent gestures of approval. High Commander Zell spoke again. The Alliance operates on principles of mutual benefit and assistance. Each member contributes according to their abilities and receives according to their needs. Based on what we have observed, humans could be valuable members indeed. After hours of discussion covering everything from trade, possibilities to cultural exchange programs, the Council called for a formal vote on establishing official relations with Earth. The result was unanimous approval. As the formal proceedings ended, the delegates broke into smaller groups for more personal conversations. Captain Jack found himself speaking with Captain Trill and his crew from the Serene Harmony. Your council seems very enthusiastic about humans joining the Alliance, Jack observed. Trill's 4 arms made a gesture of agreement. Your timing is fortunate. The Alliance has faced growing challenges in recent years. Pirate activity has increased. Several non-Alliance species at our borders have shown aggression. Some council members were beginning to fear for our future. And now they see humans as powerful allies, Jack concluded. Is that not what you wish to be? Asked Security Chief Vex, his rocky features impossible to read. Jack considered his answer carefully. Humans have a complicated history. On Earth, we fought each other for centuries before learning to work together. When we finally achieved peace, we turned our warrior instincts toward exploration and protection rather than conquest. A wise evolution, noted Medical Officer Pix. Jack smiled. We're still evolving. Meeting the Alliance is the next step in that process. But yes, we, too, want to be allies, friends even. On the other side of the chamber, Dr. Maya was engaged in animated conversation with scientists from various Alliance species. Her enthusiasm for learning about their biology was matched by their fascination with humans. Your healing capabilities are remarkable, said a Floraxian doctor, and your adaptive immune system. Most species require medical intervention for even minor infections. Maya nodded. Earth is filled with microorganisms. Humans evolved alongside them, developing natural defenses. What doesn't kill us literally makes us stronger. And your skeleton, exclaimed another scientist. Internal support structures that continuously regenerate. Fascinating design. Meanwhile, Ambassador Wilson and Captain Laura were meeting with the Alliance Defense Committee. The discussion had turned to the Rexian pirates and other threats. Would Earth consider joint defense? Operations in troubled sectors? Asked Committee Chair Grawl. We could discuss limited patrols, Laura answered cautiously. But Earth's primary focus is exploration, not expansion or military occupation. Wilson added, we believe in helping others defend themselves. Perhaps sharing some defensive technology would be more beneficial in the long term. This approach seemed to both relieve and disappoint the committee members, who had clearly hoped for more direct military assistance. As the diplomatic reception continued late into the night, news of the historic agreement between Earth and the Alliance was being transmitted to all Alliance worlds. Across 47 star systems, beings of all descriptions watched images of these strange new humans and wondered what their arrival would mean. Back on Earth, the United World Council received the transmission from Ambassador Wilson confirming successful first contact. Preparations began immediately for welcoming Alliance representatives to Earth. Special environmental habitats were designed to accommodate visitors from worlds with different atmospheric requirements. 6 months later, the Alliance diplomatic vessel Celestial Harmony entered Earth's solar system, carrying representatives from 12 major Alliance species. As they approached the blue-green planet, they were met by an honor guard of Earthships. What the Alliance delegation didn't know was that most of Earth's defense fleet remained hidden, according to the cautious policy established during the initial contact. Humans were eager for friendship, but prudent about revealing all their capabilities too quickly. As the Celestial Harmony moved into orbit around Earth, its passengers stared in wonder at the planet below. To them, it looked beautiful, but terrifying. Swirling world of powerful storms, vast oceans, and extreme climate zones. The fact that intelligent life had not only survived but thrived in such conditions seemed almost miraculous. Now I understand, whispered Captain Trill, who had been invited as part of the delegation. This is not just a home. It's a crucible. Beside him, First Officer Glip's watery body rippled with emotion. And from this crucible came humans. Let us hope, Trill replied softly, that they remember what their harsh world taught them. Survival requires both strength and compassion. As the first Alliance representatives prepared to descend to Earth's surface, a new chapter in galactic history began. The Deathworlders had arrived on the cosmic stage, and nothing would ever be the same again.